Okay, so how to basically not rely on Facebook and Google so much. Isn't that funny, Mark, that I'm doing a webinar on that? The guy that 10 years ago said, everything should go through Google and Facebook. So, but most of these, if not all the examples today that I've gathered from other garage storage and flooring professionals are really come back to referrals and strategic partnerships, because the best leads happen to be those that are referred to you. And that's what everybody tells me. Like, I just want more referrals. I want them to basically be sold by the time they talk to me. And it makes sense, because referrals are the best leads, right? And so what I'm going to do here, actually I'll come back to that in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a bunch of stuff that you can't see on screen, just talking about it. And feel free to collaborate, Mark, and if anybody else jumps in too during it. But basically the agenda is going to go like this. I'm going to cover some real examples that I've gathered from dealers, and I'm going to cover some other examples that other home service professionals have actually done throughout the years and have been super successful. Some that I'm pretty excited about that I don't think you've ever heard of. And then even one of them I'm going to mention came from you. I'm going to cover how to amplify and accelerate referrals and strategic partners, because you can actually use technology and you can think things through and have a simple strategy and really execute well, even with minimalism. And if you have like an office manager, they can even help you implement these sorts of things and accelerate those referrals and strategic partnerships that send you referrals. But I'm going to give you a couple things after this webinar. I'm going to email them out. It's going to be the list of ideas we come up with today, the list of businesses that could refer to you that you haven't even thought of, a resource I can't mention on the webinar today, wink wink, Mark, we already talked about it, and some free help getting referrals for everybody, basically, because I think it's really important that people succeed. And then hopefully you can take at least one, and don't feel super overwhelmed. Just take at least one idea from this crazy amount of ideas and things that have worked and implement it in your business. And of course, every time you're doing your marketing review, once a year maybe, during the off season, you could think, okay, can I add one more thing, or how can I improve that one thing that I heard about today? So I've read a lot of books. I've talked to a lot of dealers now, and my favorite book is The Referral Engine by John Jantz. And I've really thought about, like, why are referrals more qualified? And there's a lot of reasons, but some of them are because someone else said something positive about you, and sometimes they even explain why somebody should choose you. And those are two parts. I don't know if I'm missing any parts. Mark, can you think of anything else to why a referral would be so golden? Yes. Something very positive, right? And a lot of times that's in a story form. He showed up, he got it done in 2 days, he got it done in 1 day, blew my mind. There's some reasoning behind. And in the book, and this is a marketer I've followed for years, he will often ask those referral sources why they referred / what they said. And a lot of times it will be those little things that you do, Mark, that will really stand out to people. But there will also be really big things, like you did it in 2 days, or you were able to do so many 1,000 square feet and it was all seamless. Just different things like that. So let's just dive right into some examples, because like I said, we're going to talk examples, and then I'm going to walk you through some other ways to look at things from like a different perspective that could just hopefully blow your mind on the number of ways you could be accelerating referrals, and very simply. So let's start with your one, Mark. The first one being you're present in a showroom, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? You're in somebody's showroom? Is that a garage door company, or I'm trying to remember what that was. Oh, okay. And how'd you create the relationship? You ran into each other, friends for years? Okay. Oh, nice. Great. And correct me if I'm wrong, most good referral systems aren't a monetary basis. Like they're mentioning you, or people are asking about it, or both, and you don't have to give them any kickback. That's what I'm finding out as I've talked with other dealers. It's just, something could sound super great on paper, but yeah, if there's money involved, it often referrals almost have to transcend money. And we'll talk about some more reasons why people refer later and how to accelerate that. But another one, this one comes from Aaron Pribble. Pribble, I think I'm saying it correctly. When Aaron watches this, he can tell me if I got it wrong. Uh, so this one does seem a little more optimistic than most that I've heard about. So I have heard in the past of dealers working with home builders, but more specifically, he's working with a mid-range home builder. So, 300, 400, $500,000 homes, not 1 million. And, they create a certain number of homes a year, and it's not like 1,000, or it's not as low as like 12, right? So when you can create a relationship with a company like that, it can work. But the thing that got me really excited about it, and I don't know if you've heard this before, Mark, he can roll it into the mortgage. So when they're picking out, the appliances and other things in their homes and the fixtures, they're just also going to be like, and here's the garage, what do you want? So he's pretty stoked about it. I'm going to follow up with him over the next probably year and see how it goes. But that sounds really promising. I've heard a lot of dealers say those relationships aren't worked like that, and that's why they don't work out. For instance, like you'll put it in the model home like he's doing, and a lot of home builders, they actually like make the garage an office instead of having it as a real garage, right? But I've also heard of like Parade of Homes, and Greg Gelda years ago told me you've got to make sure that part of the tour is they go through the garage and you have somebody there to answer questions. Yes, yes. I mean, when I was first going through when I first found out about monkey bars, I knew that I was in a business park next to the guys that ran it, but I was at the fair and I saw the product, and I hadn't owned a garage at the time, but I had like a hard time wrapping my head around it. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, "Whoa," you know. I did get to work. It's fun that I got to work the fair one time, and they told me that I had the most signups, but I told them I didn't care about having the most signups. I wanted to know if any of them actually bought the product. But they didn't. They tracked who got the signups, but they wouldn't tell me if they got the sale. And I was like, well, darn, I could have just wasted somebody's time a bunch. Luckily, it was only like 4 hours. They just needed somebody to cover. So. Okay, so here's another one. Todd McCann. This isn't a big deal, but it kind of goes to motivation, right? He'll give a repeat customer just a little something extra or a little discount, and that just makes them floored almost, it sounds like, and that makes them want to talk about their experience. Not only are they getting it the second time, but they felt appreciated. And other companies will do this in a form of like a gift or an additional service or things like that, so it doesn't always have to be money, but it makes them feel special. And when you make somebody feel special, they have that reciprocity where they want to give back to you. So I already mentioned the parade of homes, and most of these ones I'm sharing right now are active. I had to try to filter out the ways to interpret these kind of referral strategies and to simplify them for myself. And I consider these more active. You're taking a more active role. You have to create that relationship with the home buyer. You have to create that relationship with the, the showroom, right? And you have to convince them why it's worth it to them or how it's helpful. Like you said, you can have some storage space, and they even felt invested in your business because they were your mentors. So even better, right? Because they felt like when you're successful, they had given back in the world. So also great. I love this one. This one's from the Referral Engine, and I've actually heard of it years ago from a good friend named Reg Allen. You can offer your existing customer that you just did the work with to pay for the food for a block party, but they just have to enter through the garage and go to the backyard. And for you, Mark, you could have a crawfish boil, right? I used to live in Houston, and we got pretty close to Louisiana, and so I know how important those crawfish boils were to all the locals when I was there. And I always just looked at them like sea scorpions, but I'm sure they taste delicious. So that one was creative. I thought that was really intense. Like if I was a home builder and I just build a custom home, like I could see that one paying off a ton, right? Invite their friends, invite, everybody over for the party, even in the neighborhood. And that would just generate lots of referrals, and I could still see that working for Monkey Bar dealers. I promised you some new ideas. So this one is the one that gets me the most excited because of all the ways that I can help as a marketer, potentially. And it's been done years past, so I'm not blazing any new trails by this, and it seems very believable. So people have in the past created a referral group of complementary services like painter, maid service, garage door, handyman, etc., 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 right? Then each of the services hand out to every client a first-time offer booklet. So that's pretty interesting, right? If you were able to hand out a free massage to every customer that just got your garage, would you do it? Would you think that'd be added value for the customer? Oh, oh yeah, I have seen that. Oh, neat. Yeah, that little extra perk for somebody that refers a ton of business to you keeps you top of mind, and every time he sees that, right? So I'm with you on that. But I'm also thinking, like, during the winter, what's going on, right? How are you getting in front of more customers? If a HVAC guy goes in and he does some work and he leaves a booklet, and in that booklet has a first time offer from you, which is, maybe it's not even much of it, it's not a coupon, right? I'm not saying you have to coupon your business, because that's not our ideal client, in my opinion. But you can say, you can make a promise, like a 2-day garage, or you can offer, a yard tool rack for every purchase. Just different things you can do that aren't coupon-esque, that for him to hand out is added value, but he's also excited because when you go to your, the business, you hand it out. And so I have a friend, he happens to do pest control, but he said if he were to do something like that, what he would do with all his locations is he would just include that booklet in the welcome packet. And a lot of remodelers, they'll have something like this where this is how we do what we do. Here's who to call if there's an issue. All that. He would just also say, and here's all of our referral partner first time offers. Yes. And you, okay, that's awesome. Do you pay for that 3 hours so it's out of your pocket? Okay, so that's just like what my dentist does. Like, if my kids don't have a cavity, he'll give them to the pizza place all the kids love, right? Give them free coupon. It works. It works really well. And to you, that's almost nothing. To her, it's $300 or whatever it is an hour, right? But that's one of the few cases where some money makes sense, right? There's money flowing both ways. It's not a lot of money, but there's a ton of value there, right? I love that. Ah, yeah. And hopefully by the end, I'll convince you, Mark. Giving that free massage is also helpful because that person's always stressed. Right? So you can extend. I love how you like to make the benefit like immediately adjacent. That's a really clever idea. I think that's always the best. But you can also have, especially like I'm saying, if you want to get in the more minds of people during the winter and other stuff, if you extend that relationship maybe past those immediate adjacent relationships, you can really benefit. And it's worked for years and years for other businesses. And I'll talk about that more later, like some more examples. But let's get on to the easy stuff, because those are harder, and I'm sure anybody listening to this is going to say, "Dang," you know, some of those relationships take effort. You got to take them to lunch. You got to talk to them. You got to do other stuff, right? You got to network with them. Go to the group. You can create your own group, which I think is also a great idea. That would work really well. So some of the indirect ones, I love your example. We'll come back to this picture. I love this example, Mark, that you did, where you had the customer hold your sign. And incidentally, this turned into a pretty successful Facebook ad. So the nice thing about this is it's implied referral that you can then use in your marketing elsewhere, right? But other people, like more old school businesses, and it's not wrong at all, will have their clients write a testimonial out. And they'll actually have hundreds of handwritten testimonials in a book, and during their sales process, they'll be like, hey, here's all our testimonials, you take a look at it, and if you're happy and we meet your expectations, would you be willing to write a testimonial? Now, the new way of doing that is to say, would you mind writing a review? And you plant that seed early during the sales process. You even say things like, we know you're going to be so happy and excited you're going to want to send referrals our way. You're going to want to leave a review, just like the ones you read before you called us, you know? And in that referral engine book, he mentions if you can basically look at all the interactions you have with the customer, and you can look at how can you train your staff, how can you extend the benefits, and make those interactions good, like the welcome packet I mentioned, which is a really good idea, right? Then people they'll want to refer you, and you're making it easier for them. And when they get that automated message saying leave us a review, they already knew it was coming, right? So this other one's one of my favorites. So you have your vehicle or truck wrapped, right? And that's kind of a given. But I heard of this years ago from another professional. They said that they didn't attend the home show, they didn't exhibit or sponsor, but they parked their truck in a prominent space as people drove into the show. And they got calls. So that's another great way to do indirect referrals. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of calls, Mark, from just your wrapped vehicles. So I've already mentioned the testimonial book. Door hangers, right? So I've heard some dealers are willing to have their staff like, okay, every job you do, go put 20 door hangers around saying we're over at such and such street doing a job. Let us know if you have any issues, or, you know, and or here's a first time offer, right? Different things you can say. Some people actually have their people knock doors. You know, maybe that makes more sense if you're the owner than to have your guy that does the install knocking doors. Probably not, right? Other companies have had major success by doing that, the same idea of the door hanger, but as a direct mail. So they call it radius mailings. And so what they'll do is they'll go online and they'll buy a list of addresses in the area nearby where they did work. And then the mailing they send out, they'll say, we're working over on such and such street. And here's a first time offer in case you would like us to come do an estimate, right? And that's been super successful for most contracting businesses from what I've seen. And then, Mark, you're familiar with this, but for everybody out there that's, you know, going to be watching this replay, I think it's important, you know, to streamline that review process a bit. And so that's why, like, I have a tool, Garage Rev, where you can pay and get even more help. But the basic service will at least allow you to have a page where you can send people to leave a review. And it's very simple, like garagerev.com/Charleston, right? And then you can click on, you know, Google or Facebook. I'm going to click on both of them. Really huge liking to it, because Mark, you can attest, if you use the software, it takes effort. You have to put in the name, phone number, and email of the customer, and then it will send some automated messages to them from a local phone number and from your personal email, but you still have to be the one that pulls the trigger, right? Everything else is set up for you, but until you pull the trigger, nothing happens. Well, Andy's been pulling this trigger a lot. And I'll continue to email out to everybody on the service, you know, how many asks people are doing, to try to turn it into a game. So that way you guys want to beat each other at asking for more reviews. Right? But if this would load, I think my internet's going slow, you would see that he has a whole bunch of new reviews. It's working, and it's working gangbusters. And then this, you know, like I said, because I'm running internet in poor little Rexburg, it's going slow, but this is a special link, and Mark and I had to work super hard to get the special link. And I'm going to record a video on how to get this special link. But if you include this link on that page or in your emails, it takes them exactly where they can leave a review. You see how there's almost no effort. They can even upload a picture, right? And that's a pretty big deal because most softwares don't even use that special link, and most people don't know about that, but I do. And so here, look at his reviews 4 days ago, 4 weeks ago. This one has pictures. So like on here, we say we'd love to see your pictures. Got a couple there too. You said, sorry, what, Mark? Yeah. So even yours says, hey, please put some pictures on there. And this is loading too slow, but he's got 2 new ones on Facebook too. So obviously you get more on the first one that you put on the list, and Google gives you a lot of search engine optimization bonus points, right? But here's one that I love too, because we're talking about implied or indirect. I had a horrible roofing issue with the hail damage, and the insurance or adjusters and all of them were just playing games with me. And I tried to work with multiple roofing companies, but as soon as they hit a snag, they basically left me in the dust and went and worked on all the easy ones. And then I was expressing this to an intern of mine, about 7 months after the first experience trying to get this all done. And he said, hey, I work for this company called Slade Roof. We handle these problems all the time. From the time Slade Roofs talked to me to my roof being done, it was less than 2 weeks. So he walked me through getting the insurance to actually cover what they promised to cover. And then he did the roof in 1 day, like less than 1 day. It blew my mind. They were like a systematic machine, right? Everything, every part, even to asking me for reviews and to do a video. And I couldn't say no because it was so good what they did for me. And so this is me. This is my moment of fame. I'm the indirect referral here. It's on his website. You watch a video about who he is, why he does what he does. It's not a very long video. It's less than 2 minutes. And he interjects it with testimonials of me, the homeowner, testimonials of the supplier, testimonials of multiple just different people that make sense, right? And that's really powerful. So when you create this great content, or you get something great like what you had there, Mark, with the gentleman holding the sign, use it in all of your marketing, whether it's on your website or what you send out. It works. It in my opinion, it accelerates your success, not exponentially, but tremendously. So, okay. So, and then for anybody watching this, I create a free listing on Garage Rev, so you can at least have that page completely free if you'd like. So that way you can either hand out a card or you can email it to them yourself. Now, I already mentioned you should have Facebook ads. So here's this general concept. I had to break this down into the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay, we're going back to school. But when you actually look at this and say, okay, obviously my best referral is a client. And sometimes that's, it's not usually the one-time use clients, but it could be. But you could also have the clients that send you referrals. You could have a program that you continue to work for them. Ones that give you repeat business, like we mentioned, certain things people are doing. And then there's other businesses / strategic partners. There's suppliers. There's even competitors. The more I dug into this, there's tons of competitors that aren't a perfect fit for people, and vice versa. You could approach your competitor and say, hey, I can tell you do this, this, and this. I don't do it. I'm going to refer business your way when I don't do that, vice versa, right? And then remember, we're trying to get people to say nice things about you. And that's one of the biggest reasons people become a referral, and it works out, and it's a great one. So getting mentioned in news articles, not necessarily buying an ad, but getting mentioned in an article because you partnered with a nonprofit and gave them some help or service, or, whatever reason, right? If you're on the TV or radio for the same reason, or blog, giving how-tos or recommendations or help, those are all direct and indirect referral sources that can really, really pay off, right? Even nonprofits. So let's play this game. Who, what, when, where, why, how. And so I'm going to pick the who. So the who is going to be another business instead of a client. And we're going to go with real estate agents, because one of the dealers I spoke with said he gets a lot of leads from real estate agents. So he doesn't even have to have a unique offer, but I'm telling you, if you have a unique offer, some reason for people to refer you, whether it's some extra thing you do for them that only referrals get, or it's that free yard tool rack, or a guarantee like 2-day garage floor. I love this one company I found recently. It's called oneweekbath.com, and it's in Los Angeles, one of the most competitive markets in the world, and they promise 1 week bath turnarounds. That's a pretty bold guarantee, right? They don't have to do anything special. Even their business name is the guarantee. So people, when they refer the what are they going to refer? They're going to be able to refer that. For if you're a carpet cleaner, it might be a coupon. I loved your coupon idea, Mark, of the 3 hours of help with the organization. I love that. It was a win for both people. Home run, in my opinion. So I mean, we could talk all day long about the what. The win. Do you have any thoughts, or want to pick a win to ask for the referral, Mark? End of service. They're older. And yeah. Yeah, so that's where you could definitely keep continuing the pictures, make that part of your plan and choose to do the pictures. You could hand them the card and still follow up, because maybe you're only getting 10% of people to leave a review, but if you don't ask, you can't receive. You got Andy getting about 30 to 40, moving towards 50% of his customers leaving a review. So I'll continue to look into what he's doing special, because he still has very high-end affluent customers. They're not as laid back as when I lived in Houston, but and just in general in the South. But I still think there's ways we can refine it from what we say to and whatnot. But okay, so end of service, I agree. I think that's a great idea. Now, where, right? And this is the one that kind of blew my mind too. Is the where can be during the sales process, you can plant the seed. On the location after the job, which kind of what you said, right? Every time another strategic partner is in a garage or in a house, right? Like with the booklet idea, even where you're in a magazine and you have an offer, because if somebody writes an article about you, you can mention, this is going back to the what a little bit. You could mention you wrote an article about the 10 things you need to ask before you choose a garage storage company, right? So sometimes it doesn't even have to be, it can be educational, and not even a physical product, right? And in that education, you can have a comparison chart comparing you and your competitors on warranty, on the way you do business, on your guarantees, on the quality of the workmanship, the how long it should last. Lots of reasons. I like sladeroof.com because they have that example. They have an example of, comparing side by side, because when you don't help people compare or educate them, and I know, Mark, when you go into a house, you educate them, then they choose price every time. So whenever you can help them understand this is how we do it, why we do it, then they're going to be infinitely better, and they'll become better referral sources later. But, even on your website, you can put the reviews. On your Facebook, you can post, you can have that picture of the gentleman holding the sign, everywhere. On your own website, on those partners' websites, everywhere. And then the why, this is where I said, in general, it's not about the money, right? So a lot of times in these plans that have worked from the research I've done here, it's usually acclamation, like gratitude. So your simple strategy could just be, every time I get a referral, I write a quick postcard and send it to my friend saying thank you, right? And they let you can also turn it into a game. So I mentioned that I'm reporting on how many reviews everybody's getting, but more importantly on how many people they've asked for reviews through the system. You can do the same thing for referrals. So think about if the painter, was seeing how many referrals came through and whatnot. I know that can be hard, but this is why it gets me excited. In the future, you could actually create a blog with these referral partners, and you could have everybody that becomes their customer is now subscribed to this blog. Everybody's getting a weekly email from this blog that's got helpful information. And because you have quite a few people on there, it's not always about garages, right? It's about carpet cleaning, garages, everything, right, over time. And so it's helpful, and you should be doing email marketing because, all the studies and everybody that are saying that it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's got the best return. You got to stay top of mind, but you can't just harp about the garage all day long, and you definitely can't write about yourself all day long. But if you had a network of people, then it would be extra value for them. But one of the things I like about this why, like if you had that strategic partnership with a couple businesses like you have with the organizer, you can have, even if you don't have to, like you could go to lunch together and hang out with each other once a month, or you could throw a customer appreciation party once a year, right? During Christmas time when it's slow, you can get all of each other's people together. And the added bonus of that is not only does that keep you top of mind, but it introduces all of each other's customers to each other and your businesses. But while they're there enjoying the hors d'oeuvres, you can pull them aside and film a video of them talking about why they loved working with your business. So I know some of these seem a little more complicated than others, so I'm not saying you have to do all of them. Like I said, I want to blow your mind. And then the how, just examples were the booklet, the letter, the postcard, the introduction, the take them to lunch, different things you can do there. Any questions so far or any comments? Okay. Thanks, Mark. I'll hurry up because I know your time's precious. It's busy time. So, all right. So I'm just going to list off a bunch of examples. Like I promised at the end of this, I'm going to email out to everybody that was on the list. Here's an example of all the referral partners I think that you could reach out to and become friends with. Remodeler, house cleaning, professional organizer. I should put the professional organizer first now that I've got your example. Landscaper, higher end landscaper, right? Financial planner. I know that's not directly related to you, but most of your clients care about their finances, right? And most of his clients would care about having a nice garage. I'm not sure about this. I know dog grooming in general, but I actually picked up one client a while ago that does mobile dog grooming in Denver, and they're crushing it. And some people have some very expensive dogs. So You could do, and then I mentioned the massage, a roofer, HVAC guy. And a lot of these guys are actually in the house very often. The HVAC guy, the plumber, the electrician, the painter, the carpet cleaning guy. A lot of these guys are even repeat. And so, being a referral partner with them, they sell to the same, customer base as you. And if you could actually, become a partner with them, then you can broaden things up a little bit. So that's why I had this picture. If you can just think about it, who are your ideal clients and who serves them as well, and how could you co-market or co-brand or work together indirectly or directly? Like throwing the party is kind of indirect, right? You don't have to extremely vouch for that guy and say he's the best person in the whole wide world to clean your carpets, right? But you can still benefit each other. Now, a little more directly is the booklet, right? Slightly indirectly, but still directly, is the blog. So, just different ways. And the list goes on. So, I'll send that out. But real estate agents. Now, Mark, this is the one thing I forgot to ask the gentleman that mentioned that. Do you think it's for people that just bought a house and need to organize their garage, or do you think it's people trying to sell their house and they need to stand out when they're trying to sell their house and their agent's saying, get this? Yeah. Yeah. I have heard of people even staging a house. Like they took all their crap out and then they like rented high-end furniture and then they baked cookies. Nice. Yeah, so I mean that seems to me like I'll put it towards the top, but I feel like real estate agents and home organizers are always a home run. I feel like then you might have home builders, right? So and then of course you can extend, extend, extend. So amplify. I mentioned just if you can report on what's going on and turn it into a game and get everybody kind of trying to help each other more and send more referrals each other's way, that works really well. In order to keep them motivated, praise is better than money. We've talked about that. Handwritten notes usually better. We've talked about basically use all this wherever you market, because it's always better to have somebody say something better about you than you to say it about yourself. Works way better for referrals. Um, and then, like I said, I'm going to shoot out that list that we came up with, Mark. I'll reorganize it. And then I'll shoot out the list of referential referral partners as well. That resource I can't mention on the webinar. And then, that ability to be able to get that free listing to help get reviews. And then I wanted to ask, and I'm just asking this in general because I already know your answer right now, Mark. You're super busy. If anybody wants to be interested in trying to create a couple relationships that could turn into the book idea, where you have everybody hand that out, or it could turn into a blog, or it could be some version of that as we strategize together. And then in general, I've been hearing from other garage storage professionals, they want to hear from other professionals, not just marketing. And I'm really good at facilitating that, right? I understand the technology. I have everybody's contact information. I've been in touch. So I'd love to bring people together. Are there certain topics that you want to hear about, Mark, or ones that you think you could speak about and really help other people? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I'm talking about even just branching out further. So I know Todd McCann, he's got so much business right now. He's wondering how can he hire his first sales rep, right? and he just had to buy a new van. And so he did all the numbers and, figured out what if it made sense. And of course, as soon as he got it, he started using it, and they don't know how they could live without it. So he felt like he should have bought it sooner, right? But I'm talking about all those topics from, how to do the sales process better to me, I feel like hiring out the sales process is actually one of the biggest mistakes people have been making. But that's because I haven't talked to anybody that's had extreme success with it. Because if they actually track their numbers, is the salesman even close to your close rate, right? And you got to get them up higher when you're doing it. But I'm open to all those suggestions on who should speak and what topics. So if you're watching this later, just shoot me an email. If you can speak on something, or if you have a concern or want to know something, then I will ask around for you. Well, Mark, I appreciate you joining. I know everybody else said that they're probably in the middle of install. Anything else for me, my friend? Okay. Well, I appreciate you. We definitely need to talk soon. Bye. You too.